All right, welcome. We're about to go on a full tour of a complete web application, and I mean from start to finish. We're going to see how it goes from just a bunch of code files all the way to a live, working app that anyone can use. Let's get right into it.
You know, it's a question that every single developer asks at some point. You've got this project, right? All these folders and files sitting there on your computer. But what's the magic that turns that into something real, something the whole world can see? Well, that's the exact journey we are going to map out right now.
So our first stop is just getting to know the project itself. What are we actually looking at? It's a modern, and I mean complete Toto app. Let's see what this thing can do.
As you can see, this isn't just a simple demo. It's a fully featured app. It's got all the essentials. You can create, read, update, and delete tasks no problem. It works on any device because it's responsive, and it even saves your tasks right in your browser. Plus, that cool brown and yellow color scheme gives it a really unique vibe. And for all you developers watching, you are going to appreciate this. It's built with a super current and popular tech stack. We're talking Next.js 14, TypeScript for that extra safety, and Tailwind CSS for all the styling. So yeah, we're dealing with a project that's not just functional, it's seriously modern.
Okay, so we know what the app is. Now for the fun part. Let's pop the hood and see how this thing is actually built. Understanding the architecture is kind of like looking at an architect's blueprint for a house. It shows you exactly where everything is supposed to go, and more importantly, why.
So this project uses something called an agentic architecture. Now I know, that sounds super fancy and complex, but the idea behind it is actually simple and really powerful. Just think of it like a workshop. You've got your reusable skills. Those are like the tools hanging on the wall. Your drills, your wrenches, stuff you can use for all sorts of jobs. Then you have your specialized sub-agents, and those are your expert craftspeople, right? Each one is focused on a very specific task, and they know exactly which tools to grab to get it done.
And this table? It just perfectly illustrates that whole workshop idea. Look how clean this is. Everything has its place. The /frontend folder, that's the part you see and click on. The /backend, that's the brains of the whole operation. The /skills folder, yep, that's our tool wall we were just talking about. And /specs is like the library with all the instruction manuals. It's just so well organized.
Okay, we've got our code, and we totally get the blueprint. Now, for the magic moment, launching it so it's live on the internet. This part can feel really intimidating sometimes, but the guide for this project boils it all down to a simple two-stage launch.
See, the trick is to launch the two main parts separately. First, you get the brains, the backend, up and running on a service like Render. Once that's live and has its own address on the internet, then you can deploy the user interface on a platform like Vercel.
But wait, how does the front end know where to find the back end? That is where this one little line of code comes in. This variable, next public API URL, it's the bridge. It's the critical connection. You literally just tell the front end the web address of the back end you just launched, and that's it. They're connected. They can talk to each other across the entire internet. It's really that simple.
Now, no project tour would be complete without hitting our first little speed bump. Sooner or later, you're going to run into a bug. So let's look at a really common one and see how the project's documentation turns what could be a moment of panic into a total pro tip.
Oh, this is so relatable. You see that user not authenticated message and your heart just sinks, right? Your first thought is, oh no, my entire backend is broken. Nothing is working. But the reality, as the debug guide points out, is almost always way, way simpler. In this case, it's probably just an old, expired logging token that your browser is stubbornly holding on to.
And the fix is just as simple. Seriously, it's an elegant four-step process that takes maybe 15 seconds. You just pop open your browser's developer tools, you go find where it stores its data, delete that old token, give the page a hard refresh, and boom, problem solved. Knowing where to look is everything.
So let's just zoom out for a second and look at the whole journey we've just taken. We've gone all the way from the initial idea to building it, to launching it, and even to fixing our first bug on a live application.
And I absolutely love this little detail from one of the project files. It notes that there are 7 users in the database. I mean, how cool is that? This isn't just a theory. It's a living, breathing application that actually has data and is fully working. It makes the whole thing feel so much more real.
This really pulls it all together. It's a complete picture. Each document we've touched on has a clear job. The README tells you the concept, the architecture file gives you the blueprint, the deployment guide is your launch manual, and the auth guide prepares you for that inevitable glitch. Put them all together, and you have a perfect roadmap.
So there you have it. We've walked through a complete map, one that takes a project from a folder on your computer to a live reality on the web. It really demystifies the whole process, breaking it down into these simple, understandable pieces. The only question left is, now that you've seen the map, what are you going to build next?